you pop the pill. Once you hear the show, you ain't gonna want it to end. Get creative with the sounds you can make with your mouth. Reaching all over the world, Queen Silvy in the house. Award-winning show, got the #1 spot. Look out. It's the Queen Silvy Show. 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 Look out.
Hi, this is Joe Mass. You are listening to the Queen Silvy Show. You are now part of the royalty.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, it's time for the silky smooth sounds of Smooth Tim and Her Majesty herself, Queen Silvy.
Hey. Welcome to another episode of the Queen Silvy Show. It is now my absolute pleasure to introduce to you, to my immediate right, the world's sexiest granny, everyone's favorite comedian, Queen Silvy.
Yes. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in this world. Yes, I am Queen Silvy. How are you, Smooth?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful, Queen, and may I ask, how are you doing
As
today?
always, I am supercalifragilistic.
Expialidocious, I suppose. It's 24/7, 365, Queen Silvy. Might I say, you are simply
amazing. I know,
Yes, you
right?
are.
I am amazing. Well, it is what it is. You are also amazing, Smooth, as well as the amazing lineup of guests and announcements we have today.
On today's show, Queen Silvy, we have pastor, church coach, and consultant, Lee Powell.
Yes.
And you're going to love our conversation
You're
with
for a
him
treat.
this morning. And also coming up on the second part of the show, from Fort Worth, Texas, award-winning Texas country singer-songwriter, Mr. Brett Watts.
Yes.
He'll be
Another
coming
treat.
on part 2 of the show today. So you're going to be in for a Tuesday treat. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that?
I think it's terrific.
I think that's terrific, too. Anyhow, some announcements. Hearts and prayers go out to the world as we keep hitting new numbers with the epidemic.
Right.
Will be over soon, folks. We know our hearts, our prayers go out to everybody. There's a lot of people working on getting this together, and hopefully we'll be there's some light at the end of that tunnel real quick.
Absolutely.
And speaking of needing some inspiration and some prayers, get a hold of our friend Sabrina Williams. Yes, the name sounds familiar. For a particular reason, get some inspiration and prayer from Sabrina at www.rollingwiththechaplain.com. And also, do you want some of the best custom jewelry around and some beautiful accessories? Or is jewelry right here in Arlington, Texas? Give her a call, and you're going to find out what happens, Gwen.
Listen, if you give Aura Smith of Aura's Fashion Boutique a call and set up a private shopping for a Wednesday and a Thursday, you will get 40+% off. 40+% off. The plus is mention the Queen Silvy Show and gain more. You can't beat that. Do it just because. Do it for someone who won't even expect you doing something as kind as that can be.
That can be so sweet.
It very much can.
40% off? Check that
Plus,
out.
come on.
And also, let's say, if look at the top of the screen, you see that scrolling text that says, join the Queen Silvy's Friends Club? That's there for a reason, because we got some great stuff to give away.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. And so you get onto our website, www.queensilvycomedy.com, queensilvyshow.com, either one, and join our Friends Club and get yourself lined up for some beautiful, wonderful free gifts. Right, Queen?
That's right.
And also, if you see you need some other accessories, such as what the Queen is modeling today for you, exactly. Foxy 5 Jewelry.
That's right.
Get a hold of them.
5 is for a reason. Ooh, $5. Come on.
Miss Monica Wright.
That's right.
Find
Check
her on
out.
Facebook. Absolutely. Also, let me get some shout out to our listeners from last week's show, Queen. In the United States, the United Kingdom, Africa, the Kingdom of Tonga.
Shout out to you.
The Netherlands, Wales, Spain, London, Canada, and France. Thank you.
I appreciate you all.
Tuning in.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That means a lot to me.
Doesn't that?
You know what meant a lot to me? Having a guest of brothers that, excuse me.
You all right?
I had you guys are drinking coffee and
Little tickle
nobody
in your
brought
throat.
me
Oh,
my
you mean
tea.
you guys are drinking coffee?
Nobody brought me my tea, but I'm gonna get my tea. But it's also nice that two brothers from United Kingdom that they make a cartoon during this pandemic to bring smiles and laughter. The Smith brothers, Jay and Liam Smith. They put me and Smooth in a cartoon in their series. They created a cartoon figure. I am a queen in the United Kingdom as a cartoon, and that is such an honor.
I never figured I would ever be a cartoon.
That is so
That was
that is
interesting
so sweet.
to watch. And we
They're
were
on
in
YouTube.
2 episodes, yes. And then they invited us back for some type of a
Well, let me just correct you. I'm on 3. He's on 2.
Okay.
But yes, we are. It is an honor. The Smith brothers, Jay and Liam Smith. The cartoon is called The Popcorn Family and Friends. They're on YouTube blowing it up right now. So go and check them out. But thank you for tuning into the Queen Silvy Show. Spread the word. You have time to get your coffee or your tea or your water. And, is the lines already?
Absolutely, apparently.
Well, listen, the lines are open, by the way. If you'd love to call and ask our guest a question, give a shout out or holler at Smooth or myself. The number is 817-602-0577. That's to the Queen Silvy Show, making your Tuesdays terrific, providing the best in live entertainment, talents, and topics from around the world to you. The guests will have to hold one moment because what I'd like to do before I get into my first guest, who I am definitely going to learn some things from, what I'd like to do at this moment is I'd like to share some motivational words from the Queen Silvy Show to you. Push yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. I mean, you can make excuses or you can make it happen. You decide. I mean, excuses will straight up be there for you all the time, but opportunity won't. So stop burying your potential under excuses. Would you do that? I mean, don't tell me and don't tell yourself that you are too busy when it's just a matter of priorities. You want to succeed? You want to make that money? Hey, that's cool. Just know that you cannot deposit excuses. That's right. And those are some motivational words from the Queen Silvy Show to you. Where's that audience? There it is. You're right. It's a terrific Tuesday. So we have the audience booming. And guess why? Because we are fully charged. Yes, we are.
Here I thought it was because you had me multitasking like it's going out of style right this second.
Video games, buttons. I try to please these guys, okay? But spread the word. The Queen Silvy Show is live right now on this terrific Tuesday. We're going to get things going with my first guest. The number is 817-602-0577 is the number. Was the caller still on or calling back?
Ask him.
I'm sorry. That's what a queen to do, right? Make you wait.
I
Hi.
believe they're still there.
Welcome to the Queen Silvy Show. State your name for me and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is Superstar King Patino all the way from Holland, Ohio. How are you doing today, my queen?
Superstar Kane Patino from Holland, Ohio. I am doing fine. You know I'm supercalifragilistic.
Expialidocious, 365 days a year, 366 days leap year.
Yes, I am.
She's got it all figured out. There's a fan.
That's a fact. And that is great. What can I do for you today, Kane? I am about to talk to my first guest here on the show. Would you like to stand back and listen for a moment, or do you have a question or something?
I can stand back and listen for a minute.
I appreciate you calling in on the show. We'll give it a few minutes, and then I'll let you cue in, if you will, so that I don't tie up the lines for someone else, okay?
I'll mute you right now, Kane, so no feedback.
That sounds good.
See, I said about United Kingdom, now Holland, Ohio. I love that.
Holland, Ohio.
That is what's up.
What do you know about that?
I think that's great. Referencing the book, A Purpose-Driven Life, and here to discuss a life with purpose, our good friend with over 25 years pastoral services, currently a church coach and consultant, assisting churches maximize their kingdom impact. He's here live from Fort Worth, Texas. I introduce to you Lee Powell.
Good afternoon. How are you guys doing?
How are you, Lee?
I'm good, thank you.
Hang on.
Where are you? There you are. Thanks for taking the time today to be on the show.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, we love having you each and every time. For anyone who is just seeing Lee and anyone who has known Lee, you know that you are in for a treat for today. You can get caught up on all the past shows that we had by going on your favorite podcast, typing in the Queen Silvy Show, going down, and you will find Lee under February 20th of this year, 2020, September 15th, October. Just look for that handsome face, and you will find Lee. We talked about things like keeping faith and having fun during this pandemic, the church's role within the community. Last month, we talked about truth has consequences, and today is no other than another exceptional topic that we're going to talk about today. Lee, back in June of 1994, that's when you attended the church leadership conference, right? So a year later, in 1995, you started your own church, which grew from 30 to 9,000 weekly in attendance with multiple locations. See, before we get into the whole thing from you, I want to, on the other subject, I want to know with you, Lee, what was it from that conference that jump-started and inspired your purpose?
Yeah, it wasn't just that conference. That was sort of the final, catalytic event, and because things had been leading up, and the things that had been leading up to that was, I was in a church serving where I loved the church, but we weren't reaching anybody, and we weren't growing, and we weren't baptizing anybody. So it was sort of, I hate to say it, but it was kind of ancestral. Everything was turned inside, internal, and we weren't a church that was reaching people externally. And so when I went to that seminar, then I heard that leadership conference, kind of heard the answer, and it was the answer to the frustration, which was starting a church that was interested in reaching unchurched people. And that was the heartbeat of Cedar Creek from day one. Our goal wasn't to be a big church, a large church. In fact, the leadership conference we'd go to, when we'd go to that church that was hosting it, we'd look around. To us, it was like Disneyland. Our church was never going to be that large. We simply wanted to reach people who didn't know Christ. And that was our goal. That was our vision.
Well,
wasn't
that
very
vision,
big, but that was it.
Well, that vision soared very big. Let me pause, Lee, and if you can do. All right, Kane, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's handle you. What can we do for you? Do you have a question for my guest? This is Lee Powell.
Well, I don't have a question, but I would like to tell you, Brother Lee, I so definitely support you for what you're doing, and I appreciate the ministry that you are in. I am actually in the same kind of business as you, and so I definitely do appreciate everything that you're doing for the Lord.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
You're more than welcome.
Well, Kane, tell them what you do.
I am actually a Christian rapper. Been doing Christian rap music since I was 22 years old, and I've been on the Queen Silvy Show multiple times. And you can actually find me and follow me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook, but the best way to find my music is follow my mother, which is Casey, Casey, Petinio, Petiniot. And then you can also find me on YouTube under Kane, the Christian Rapper, Kayne, the Christian Rapper.
That's what's up, Kane. All right. Hey, that was worth the wait to get all of that in. And I appreciate you holding the line. I appreciate you
25
calling.
years ago, if you tried to do rap in a church, they'd have thrown you out.
Right. That's how times have changed now. He's
right.
rapped. Where's the church in Michigan? There's a church in Michigan. You do concerts. Am I correct, Kane?
Actually, yes. It's actually funny that you bring that up because Kingdom Music, which is the one I'm part of, has actually invited me. So everybody who is listening, mark your calendars because September 11th of next year is my next concert in Wayne, Michigan at Cross Point Community Church.
Okay, that's
Sounds
what's
like
up.
a plan.
That's something to look forward to.
Thank you, Kane.
Things is rough out here, Kane. So all I want to do is say behind that is keep a backup plan. If that doesn't happen, continue to have some way to get your word out through your music. I appreciate you, Kane, taking the time on the show.
Well, thank you for taking my call today, Queen. You all have a wonderful day.
Not a problem. You keep on passing the word for the Queen Silvy Show. You've made my Tuesday terrific.
Well, you made mine as well, Queen.
Thank you. Have a good day. All right, Lee. Fans, what can I say? I am a fan of Kane Patino. He is a great rapper. He was born blind and he's autistic, and he is doing his great thing of passing where I can't remember what I'm going to ask you today, and Kane can remember every one of the 17, 18 songs without writing down. So he got me beat. So shout out to Kane Patino. My apologies for taking so much time, but I'm sorry. So listen, the trademark term, Lee, of purpose-driven, that comes from the teaching of Rick Warren, who was the senior pastor of Saddlebrook Church in Lake Forest, California. Now, we're referencing his best-selling book, A Purpose-Driven Life, that I'm yet to get. I'm going to leave it to you to begin what it is that you want to share regarding a life with purpose off of his book.
Yeah, well, since you said that, I'll just hold this up. This is The Purpose-Driven Life. Much of what I'm going to say today is credit to Rick Warren. So don't anybody get mad if I plagiarize him and don't give him credit. The whole thing is plagiarism. And I'm sure he's happy that we're plagiarizing his book on the radio. And actually, this book was written in 2002 and was responsible for changing literally thousands upon hundreds of thousands, ultimately millions of people. This book is the second best-selling nonfiction book ever, second only to, you know what the best-selling book is, right, Queen?
The Bible.
The Bible, number one, obviously.
Right.
But then this book, some publishers say, has sold 60 plus million.
And counting.
And in celebration of Saddleback's 40-year anniversary as a church, Rick decided to do another edition of this book. And so I thought that was a good reason for us to talk about it. Since obviously, if 60 million people bought this book, there's something interesting.
That's
when
right.
you open it up and read it, there's something of great value. And just the phrase purpose-driven life, that in itself has a certain appeal.
Yes, it does.
For a lot of reasons. Yeah. And I don't, Rick Warren, after he wrote the book, of course, if you sold 60 million copies, and I think he sold 18 million copies in a couple of years. And so that made him a multi-millionaire. So here you have a pastor who's a multi-millionaire. You would think people would be criticizing this guy, mega church pastor. And so they did. Time Magazine did a kind of a hit piece on him, interviewed him. And when he sat him down and he asked him, he said, "So now what are you doing with all this money? You buying a jet airplane?" And Rick looked at him and he was ready for the question. He said, "Well, I drive the same pickup I'd been driving. I've lived in the same house," which he still lives in the same house today. And he says, "I give 90% of my income from the book and all other income back to the church and other things, helping around the world for poverty and a number of things but 90% he gives back." And so this guy is the real deal. This guy isn't taking the cash in,
right,
and buying a jet and flying around the country. This guy is still ministering to people and still talking about the same core things that he talked about in 2002 when he wrote The Purpose-Driven Life.
That's amazing. And you know what? He's very humble and not selfish. And he's, you're going to have people that's going to come after you. Anytime when you have someone, you're doing something good, you're something right, you're going to have someone, what the kids use, haters, and you're going to, whatever, bullies, you're going to have copycatters, you're going to have all of that. But he's smart, man, because, he's also human going through things in life, but he's still stable. He's still staying firm on his focus. He knew his purpose. See, it matters. You can't help someone else with their purpose if you don't know your own.
Little difficult, right?
That's what my thing. And when you say purpose, the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. So tell me, Lee, why is it even important to live your life with purpose?
Well, Mark Twain, I think it is, who said the most important 2 days of your life are the day you're born and the day that you discover your purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is absolutely right. And, I cannot remember who the scientist was, but he was a sociologist, I believe, who sent out 250 letters to some of the smartest people he knew. And the question was, what's the purpose of life? And you know how many answers he got back?
Wow. What?
None.
None.
No. Instead, this sounds crazy, but he had people writing. These are scientists writing, have you figured out the purpose of life yet? And so, these were men and women who were brilliant, and really, for them, I don't know that I really know the purpose of life. And so it's something that people ask about, and even throughout life, we get to the end of our life, we look back and we say, did I live a purposeful life?
Mm-hmm. You're right. They'll say, what's the point of all of this? Why am I here? What's life really about? But Lee, give me your opinion.
The subtitle on the book is, what on earth am I here for?
Right. So give me your opinion. What's the answer to that? What are we here for? What?
Well, I'm not going to give you the full answer, but what I will do, I'll give it in two parts.
Okay.
It'll probably take 2 shows to do it. What I'd like to do is talk about the foundation, sort of answer the general question, why is it important, to understand our purpose in life. And then the next time we get together, we can talk about the 5 purposes that Rick Warren actually outlines.
I love it.
So in the book, it's 320 pages, 266 pages devoted to these 5 purposes, but then 53 are the background and the foundation. And when you open this book that's called The Purpose Driven Life, that sold 60 plus million copies, you're thinking that you're going to open this book and there's going to be pages that, words jumping off these pages are going to make you feel so good. It's going to be about making you looking at yourself and, and thinking about how wonderful life can be, and on and on. But actually you open the book and the first sentence is this: it's not about me. That's the first sentence in the book. It is not about me, or it's not about you. You could say it's not even so much about fulfillment or peace or or family or happiness. It's not. It's really not about that. What it's about, purpose, is about God, having purpose in your life, and you have to begin with God. It's Bertrand Russell, who is the king of atheists. He said this. He said, unless you assume a God, the question of life's purpose is meaningless. So an atheist is saying there's really no reason to ask yourself what's the purpose in life, because there's no God.
So for somebody walking around confused, like, I don't know my purpose and all, start with the Bible. Is that what you're saying?
Start with God. Yeah. Start with getting to know God, which, how do we get to know God? And of course, I would say, that's the Bible. And if we don't come to we have to come to this place where we say, okay, I was created by God and for God. So I wasn't even created to be happy necessarily. That's not why God created me, but he did create me to be in relationship with him and to have community with him. And he created me to be an eternal being. And that's another thing when you're thinking about the purpose of life. We have to think about it in terms of eternity, not just present day, because this life is like a blink compared to eternity. Eternity is trillions of years. This life is what, 100 years? And so we have to, to really grasp this book and benefit from this book, we have to begin by saying, I need God. I believe God created me, and I believe he created me to be in a relationship with himself, and not just for this 100 years on earth, but for eternity. And by the way, you know, I said before that I cannot remember again the scientist who wrote all these other scientists, 250 scientists asking for the purpose of life. They all speculated, as the purpose of life, but I don't really want to speculate on that. What if what we need is not speculation, more speculation, but we need revelation.
Mm. You
And
feel
that
that too?
revelation that comes from God. And yes, it comes certainly from the Bible, which I believe to be the word of God. Now, you're not going to see a verse come up on the screen like you would, if I was preaching, a verse would come up, but people can look it up later. In Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, it says that we are created as God's workmanship. We're his craftsmanship. And then it says we're created for good works in Christ Jesus that he prepared and planned for us long ago. So before we were a twinkle in our parents' eyes, God knew we were going to be. And then the Bible says he knit us together in our mother's womb. And so he gives us purpose and reason, and kind of a cliche, but a plan actually for our life. And but it all begins, yes, with God, and then of course the word of God. And another verse that I think people should write down, the two that are really important, the one I just gave, Ephesians 2:10, and then Psalm 139. In the 139th Psalm, it's just God reminding David and reminding all of us that he put us together. And we're not just here by chance. It was we're not here by accident. And so when you talk about a purpose-driven life, though, I said on the one hand, I start off by saying it's not about our happiness and fulfillment, but serendipitously it is. Meaning, the purpose-driven life, when we have this sense of purpose, and we're living out the 5 purposes, a benefit of that, even though that's not what we're looking for, is this happiness, is this fulfillment, is this contentment, and this sense of peace in our lives. But if that's what we are aiming for, we're going to miss our purpose, and we'll miss those things. Instead, the things that will rule our life is guilt and worry and fear and materialism and approval, and that's all going to leave us just empty. Unfortunately, I want to read, and this is the only quote that I'm going to do. This is from his book. I thought I couldn't say it any better than this, and it's by George Bernard Shaw, and this is Rick Warren quoting him on page 33 of his book, The Purpose-Driven Life. It says, "This is the true joy of life, the being used up for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one, being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining the world will not devote itself to making you happy." So, did you get that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And so it's, again, once we get this purpose and we start living it out, all of those other things, again, serendipitously start to happen for us. There's also a story that Jesus tells. It's called the parable of the talents in Matthew chapter 25. It's a great story, and I'm going to paraphrase it, meaning I'm going to put it in 2020 words. And of course, if Jesus was here speaking to us today, he would not be speaking to us in Greek. He would be speaking to us in 2020 words. And so he tells this story, and the story is about 3 men, and one man he gives, the Bible uses the word talents in some places, but we'll just say one guy he gives $100 to. And the next, this guy, he tells him, he says, "Hey, go out and do the best you can, multiplying what I gave you." And that guy goes out and he comes back and he's multiplied it 3 and 4 times. And the master says, "Great job. You're going to be with me. Wonderful." And then the second guy comes along and he has $50. And he says, "Go out and multiply that." He multiplies it and does a great job like the other guy did. Not as much, but, and the master says, "Hey, you're with me." And then the third one, he gave $10 to, and he went out, took it and hit it in the ground. And then he came back and his boss said, what would you do? And he said, I just feared you. I didn't know what you were going to do. So I just buried it. And what Jesus has the master in the story saying to this one is, "You're wicked for doing that. Get away from me." And you say, "Man, that's pretty harsh. The guy just buried some money." But basically what he buried is he buried that which God had given him, the gifts that God had given him, so that God gives us purpose And in that context, he gives us gifts and talents, and we're to use them for his glory and his honor. And if we don't, it's not good. And if we do, it's really good.
I love
But
it.
the point is Jesus is putting this great emphasis on responsibility. There's a word that people will use in church called stewardship. I used to, when I'd go to my grandma's church and they talk about the stewardship committee, I'm like, what is that? But it's just stewardship is just to care for that which we've been given, and everything we have has been given to us by God. And so once we figure out how that all fits into God's purpose in our life, life really starts to come together. And we realize, it's not about us being entertained or amused or catered to or anything like that. Did you know that Chick-fil-A, they have business cards? On one side, they'll have if it's a manager giving you the card, he'll have his name and address. And on the back side, you know what it says on a Chick-fil-A business card?
What?
We exist to glorify God in all that we do.
Really?
Yes.
That's why they're never open on Sundays.
And that's why they're never open on Sundays. And they give up millions and have you seen the Chick-fil-A lately? You drive by and they've got 2 rows now.
Yeah.
They're making more money right now drive through than they were sit down and drive through, because people like them so much and they're so skilled at what they do. But my point is the people that buy Chick-fil-A restaurants, they buy it knowing what's on the back of that card.
Wow.
That's interesting.
I didn't know that.
I was going to interject. I don't know what's a fan favorite down here. Chick-fil-A, Whataburger.
I like Chick-fil-A.
In
So.
Texas, well, I don't. You know what? I like both. I do not like a greasy Whataburger patty melt. That's so greasy that the burger's slipping out from the bread.
Yeah.
Nope, can't have that right now. I'll have the chicken. Give me the Chick-fil-A.
I don't know that Whataburger has glorifying God and all that they do in the back of their card. But the reason I say that's really what the purpose-driven life begins with, that conviction, that commitment, that belief, that movement towards God. God, I want to serve you. Your will be done. Jesus, when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane before his crucifixion, he was facing terrible trauma and he knew it. And he said, God, if this cup can be taken from me, take it. But he said, but not my will be done, but yours. So the purpose-driven life, you could say, begins on your knees, saying, God, not my will, but yours. And help me understand. And then Rick Warren gets into he spends the rest of the book, which the next time we get together, we can talk about, which is the 5. I'll give them to you, the 5 purposes.
Wait. I want to know, am I on the right path with you? Because those 5 things be used as an acronym for SHAPE?
You're close. That is one, when we get to the mission, or actually, I'm sorry, when we get to serving others, which is one of the purposes, how we serve others. Yes, that's where the acronym SHAPE comes in, because that breaks down what it looks like to serve others. We need gifts to serve others. Who are we supposed to serve? How are we supposed to serve? Where are we supposed to serve? Those kind of things. But we just gave away one of the purposes, which is really serving others.
Okay.
That is one of the 5 purposes.
Okay.
I so wholeheartedly agree with everything you're saying so far, Lee, and I found it kind of ironic when you said you kind of started in the the committee that you was on. Say that one more time. Your first
committee.
I'm sorry.
What committee?
When your first job in the church, fellowship committee.
Stewardship
committee, right? Okay, yeah, that was the same thing that they had involved me in. I remember when I was about my 20s with the church, when I became a member of the church and such. Yeah, stewardship and outreach and working like that. And then you probably know Martha's Kitchen in Bowling Green.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. So that was part of the Methodist church that I was a member of. And that was part of our outreach. And that kind of, and I think it helps develop your character. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, but the one thing that what we don't want to err on, we don't want to think that this is all about the church. I mean, it's all about God and the church, but it's all about you're living out your purpose in all the spaces of life,
right,
in all the places of life. It's not just as a church servant team per se, but it's like the guys at Chick-fil-A, you think, well, how are you serving God going and selling chicken to people?
Mm-hmm.
But, in their case, my personal experience is one, I've received so much kindness from people at Chick-fil-A. Isn't that amazing? How they can make your day. A clerk behind it can make your day. And, occasionally if I was running a restaurant, I think I would go around to all the restaurants locally here and have people wait on me and then offer that person a job. People who make my day. They have a purpose. That,
Chick-fil-A for lunch it is.
But don't you think they are extremely friendly?
They are.
The waiters come up and you're like, oh boy, this is gonna be trouble already.
They come up and say your name.
Yeah, I think they're very, very friendly. I love Chick-fil-A's, the way they do come up. Yeah, their people are so friendly.
Amazing. But so again, the purposes, even though it's all about God, I just want to make it clear that serendipitously, when we walk down that path where our purpose is to honor God and to glorify God in all we do, out of that comes this sense of contentment and peace and fulfillment, those things, even though that's not what we start out looking for.
Absolutely. This is very interesting, and I'm glad that you said that we're going to continue this and do this in 2 parts, because that book is so fantastic that, I would love to share the entire thing, because there's so much teaching and so much right now in the world that needs this book here. If you're not going to go to the Bible first, go through this book and build the confidence and learn and see it and look at things from a different angle. Hear the quotes that's in the book. We're going to get with more on this in just a minute, but let me pause for a minute because I have a couple messages that I want to share just for you from the Queen Silvy Show. And we'll be right back.
When we give it what it needs and remove the interference, we are certain that God designed the body to heal. What a gift. And now we have a gift for you. Accept a free month in our Forever Young Academy so you can jumpstart your journey of health and still eat all your holiday favorites. The Forever Young Academy will help you create a life of vitality to stay forever young feeling, with a step-by-step guide to detoxify and upgrade your mind, body, and home with our group coaching membership led by cellular healing specialist Tammy Stewart. Health is a journey, and with Tammy's guidance, you will learn how to create wellness for yourself and your family through targeted mini courses and the step-by-step group membership. In your free month, you will have access to our community and courses that dive deep into creating natural health and vitality so you can stay forever young. Visit www.foreveryoungacademy.health to learn more and claim your gift of health.
Yes, that was some very important messages. Take heed of those messages. Always good people doing good, positive things. Lee, with purpose, some people are still confused because they're wondering, do they have to go to the Bible to be purpose driven? And your answer is yes. Is your answer yes?
Yes. I mean, my answer is this. You have to, you have to get to, the first purpose is to get to know God. I mean, that's the first of the 5 is to get to know him. And that's the foundation for everything. And so we get to know him through revelation. Revelation comes through the Bible.
See, because you answered earlier when I had that to ask, you flowed it in so perfectly, and it was a true, you covered that very much well. So, I mean,
now people that are purpose driven in business, apart from God, let's say, obviously that breeds success because it's a principle. When you have a purpose, when you have a goal, you're going to be more successful. But here's the question. Do you want to be successful for this life, or do you want to be successful for eternity?
Right.
And so do you want, and you can also be living the wrong purpose. mean, if your purpose is just to see how much money you can make and, how much you end up with at the end of your life, that's a sad life.
See, I believe that my very purpose is to be happy.
Well, what I would say about that is, I would say actually God's purpose for us is not necessarily to be happy, but to be holy. And again, if we're holy, that is set apart for God's purposes. That's what it means. The outcome of that is ultimately fulfillment and happiness in those things. But if happiness is the goal, we're disappointed, because happiness is based on happenings, events today. And happiness that comes from purpose, that's based on understanding God's will. And those are the kind of things that push us through even the difficult and dark times, where we can have contentment. Because the Apostle Paul in the scripture, he said that we were to be thankful in all circumstances. So it's a command. Thankfulness is a command, not a suggestion. And, hey, be thankful when everything's going well. No, he's saying be thankful in all circumstances. And the purpose-driven life, Rick Warren has been through some major tragedy in his life, just horrible tragedies.
Right.
Rick describes life this way. He says it's like two train tracks. And on one track, every day there's some good news, and on the other track, every day there's some bad news being delivered by these two trains. And when you're living the purpose-driven life, you don't let the bad news stop the good news.
Right.
You don't let the bad news win the mental war and emotional war.
Well, some say that's easier said than it takes effort, and also the knowledge, because all the answers are not always come to us automatically. Sometimes you have to search and you have to school yourself.
I'm not hearing you guys right now. I don't know if you can hear me right now. It's froze up.
Camera froze too.
Okay, that's fine. We're gonna wind it down at this moment, anyways. But Lee, you're not a social media kind of guy there. So how would you prefer to be contacted for any questions or anything?
Yeah, my email, ClydeLeePowell@gmail.com. So my first name is Clyde. I don't tell a lot of people that. My middle name is Lee, and last name Powell@gmail.com. That's the best way.
We have it scrolling at the bottom for the viewers.
That's what's up. Because I want to continue this. Boy, would it be great if I can get Rick Warren to join in next time with you.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He has actually had, get this, presidents, kings, kings of nations.
I bet.
They've flown to his church to talk to him. And there's one country that he tells a story about. It's an African country where the king declared the whole nation, it was a small nation, a purpose-driven nation.
Wow. Impactful.
Very cool, yeah.
That is impactful. I'm looking forward to the next segment, the next lesson, and the next series by you, Lee, next week. Next week. I want you next week.
We gonna finish this. Why wait till next? From Lee?
Why wait till next month? This is great. We're going to continue this on based on the book A Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren, here through the words of Pastor Lee Powell. Lee, I thank you for taking the time being on the show. We'll be in touch with you again as we continue this on.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Lee.
Yes, we're going to ignite you and invigorate your mind on this subject, because we're going to continue this on again next month with Lee Powell, and we will keep you informed on when he will be here on that date, so you have time to spread the word for the next month when he is on. That is part 1 of the Queen Silvy Show. Stay tuned for part 2 of the Queen Silvy Show, where we have Texas country music singer songwriter. He's more than that, he's extraordinary. Brett Watts will be back on the show, and we have some music and some great conversation in store for you. Smooth.
What up?
What up?
What up? I love that conversation.
Phone lines will also be open during part 2, so you can write that down. If you don't see it scrolling above, 817-602. 0577. Before I get out of here, I do have some shout outs that I think it is important that I give. Shout out to James and Audrey Starks, Shanika Kaki, Sanya Pinky, Amy Kanima out of Uganda, Africa, Ryan and Kelly, Pat Wilhelm. Shout out Queen Vonda, Queen Lori, Webster Vito out of Johannesburg, South Africa, Diamond B, Diamond and Hero Boy out of they're out of Africa too.
Johannesburg.
So those are my boys over in Africa as well. Angela Baker, Helen Lattimore, Sabrina Williams, Orr Smith, Alex Depew, and Aria. Shout out to you, Jay and Liam Smith. To Monica Wright, these are a lot of names. That just shows you how much we love you as well. You send in and you want these shout outs. We are going to honor that. Joe Mass, Jay Beasy, C. Shorty, Franklin, Gabrielle Crinchlow, and Lorenzo Gabaniza. Our hearts and prayers go out to you. Pray for my friend who lost his mom on his birthday, which was just the other day. So I know that's a tough time. Pray for him as our hearts and prayers go out to you and everyone who's going through this pandemic, going through this transition of this pandemic. Stay with faith over fear. Queen Silvy sending you out and coming back in with part 2 in just a few moments. Hi, I'm Queen Silvy of the multiple award-winning The Queen Silvy Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Silvy or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah.